But interestingly, Marcel, I'm going to suggest something to you. You see, do you know what you just said about the science element? Yeah? I mean, the word science actually means knowledge. Okay? Yeah. And that is what we should all be seeking. Yeah? The amazing thing about the discoveries that we are making as human beings collectively, and it is a collective effort, yeah, is that it is assisting in the betterment of human beings. Unfortunately, sometimes we use it, yeah, for the wrong reasons, yeah. But do you know, if I were to tell you, my name is Shabir, I'm a Muslim. My position today is as a result of what I read in the book known as the Quran. Now, if I were to tell you, the Quran actually insists that we should go and seek all this, what we call scientific evidence, how would you view it? How would you view it? How would you expect a religious book to tell you something like that?
No, I think that's very progressive, and because it's a newer religion in a way, I can understand why it would encourage people to do that.
But amazingly, Marcel, you are talking 1,500 years ago. This was even before, but this was even before the birth of what we would call collective science the way we understand it today. Now, I would say...
Well, no. I mean, science has been around. I mean, people have been, and that's something else that people are uncovering through archaeology.
Yes.
Is just how more progressive civilizations were than we thought, especially,
I agree.
Western, views of...
Yes, or what they thought.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. But that is why I said the word collective science. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. Makes it easier for our sister. Yeah, no, you are absolutely right. But the word when I use the phrase collective science, I mean the way it is understood today. It was a relatively recent one, especially with the falsifiability test, which was quite recent. But I view, as a human being, I know that irrespective of the discoveries I make, irrespective of the kind of life I lead, okay, our mirror tells us that we are on a point of non-reversal in terms of life. We are going to come to a position where we will be no more. We will be no more. So one day, no, I'm talking about us as individuals, we will die. I mean, it's so difficult for me, yeah? And I usually, whenever I'm having conversations, I usually tell people, look, let's look at the evidence first and then establish our view of things based on the evidence. Now, I respectfully always say to my atheist friends that, look, what you are doing is restricting your growth by excluding certain kinds of evidence. Now, if we were to ask that, yeah, if I were to say, right, we know that the natural world that we have, that we can view, we can test, we can assess, is the natural world. As I see you and you see me, yes, however, the workings of the eyes,
You mean through our senses?
yeah, we call them the senses, don't we? Yeah, our senses tell us much about the world. But there is much about the world which our senses cannot tell us about.
Certain equipment, scientific equipment.
Some equipment
That scientists have developed,
yes,
like the telescope very early on, Galileo, and
yes,
discovered things that we didn't know. So we can't just rely on our immediate senses, because our senses, we have extensions to our senses
yes,
that science have developed. And this is what I'm, so all the discoveries that we're making still, it is through a scientific method.
yes.
We're not discovering anything through religion, apart from maybe people discovering a faith or a belief or whatever it is.
Okay.
But that has, I don't know where that goes. And I'm not somebody who would ever, I don't believe in banning religions.
I understand.
I
understand, yeah. But you see, Marcel, I would respectfully suggest that you might have missed a particular aspect in history. You see, the greatest, what we would call medical doctor, whose encyclopedic information is still used even today in the halls of medicine, was a Muslim.
That doesn't surprise me because there was a lot of scientific work
But now,
done under
absolutely, yes, there was a lot.
Yes.
But where did they take it?
Mathematics.
But where did they take it from?
Not from
It was from the Quran.
the Quran.
Because the
I
Quran,
haven't
yeah,
read
yeah,
the
I
Quran,
understand.
But anyway,
Yeah.
you know, you
Well,
have
I'm going to give you a
explain.
present today. There you are. Yeah.
I think my daughter has the Quran
Yeah,
actually because she studies
But
religion.
basically, you see, the one thing I'm doing whenever I'm talking to people, I'm telling them, look, get one thing straight. Islam is not a religion in the conventional sense. It's difficult because people just use words which we are accustomed to. Islam is not a religion, number one.
You believe in the existence of a
Now, you see,
of a God.
excellent. You see, the word belief should be preceded by evidence.
Yes.
I do not subscribe to the word believe the way it is understood. The scientific method is what? To establish things through evidence. Well, I am saying to you that the Quran actually insists that that is how we must establish things. So I say to my atheist friends, look, I am, according to you, a religionist who is insisting that we must consider evidence. Yeah? Yet my atheist friends are telling me we don't want to consider all the evidence. I'm saying, why are you being unreasonable to yourselves? Because if you are going to exclude a certain subject matter because society has deemed it to be unsuitable, you are being unjust to yourself.
But how do you ever prove the existence of
The creator. Well, if you think
this is
of,
what this man was saying.
Yeah,
when I
that's
came. So
the
we're coming back to
conversation. Yeah, we
the same point. Exactly.
yeah, no, it's not a problem at all. Yeah, you see, myself, this is the most important issue, and that is what I was trying to get through here. Yeah, that when we say a God, the first thing we have to accept is that whatever it is we are talking about is definitely not like us human beings. Can't be, by definition.
We've had to explain it by giving it a name, a gender. In our religion.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. The Christians. Yes. Okay.
You know, things that people find very hard to accept. Then on the other hand, if God is not that, then what is it?
Absolutely. Now,
This is what you...
I agree. Now, here is what I say. Look, let's work on what we would call logical assumptions. Yeah, this is what I would call them. Logical assumption number one. I assume there to be a creator. Why? Because when I look at everything, I think, wait a minute, you know what? How am I supposed to accept, as an example, you know when I'm walking, okay, and I'm breathing, there's an exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. But there is also what you would call atmospheric pressure acting against the body. It seems like the amount that we have got seems to be balancing our ability to walk. Otherwise, we would just fall over, backward or forward. Now, I look at everything. We have got this, you know, what I would call the standard view that we seem to have the Earth in a particular location, etc. Okay?
Can I just interrupt? The way you're saying this is we seem to have, as if it's for us, but it isn't for us. We are part of it. We have evolved on the Earth. We were, you know, we've come through evolution. We wouldn't be alive unless we could survive in these conditions. So the fact that you're saying everything seems balanced, well, we wouldn't be here. That, you know, animals that couldn't survive here, if someone dropped here from another planet and they, you know, couldn't survive on our planet, they would die. But we have to survive here. We do survive here because we've evolved to survive.
Yeah.
But it's not here for us. We are part of the whole thing. And you're saying, you know, our lives are short,
Yes.
very short. You
Yeah.
know, probably the Earth will be no more in so many.
The universe will be no more.
Well, we don't even know about that because we're still discovering. We will never. I don't think.
I'll tell you something myself. I can tell you of a surety, the universe is going to come to an end.
There are many universes.
The method of calculation has already established it to be a few billion years hence.
Yeah.
But the issue is not that. The issue, for example, you raised about we have evolved. Now, I did use the word logical assumption. There are many assumptions in this theory, but if I were to ask you, okay, look, I don't mind if somebody tells me that, look, it seems like we evolved, yeah?
It seems like.
No.
We know we have evolved. We know we have evolved through scientific evidence.
Right, but the scientific evidence needs to be assessed.
It's always being assessed, and new evidence is always emerging.
Exactly.
So
now,
we're finding more links between us and other humans.
Excellent. Let me ask. Let's see. A few years ago, there was a fanfare about a discovery that was made of a lizard-like creature, yeah, which was seen to be a missing link. Are you familiar with that?
Is this the one that was a fake or something?
Oh, there have been a few fakes. But this one was meant to be, okay? There was a fanfare about its discovery. What happened after that?
I don't know, tell me.
It basically disappeared off the face, I would call it the earth. Why? Because rightfully so, it was found to be not what they thought it was.
No.
But you see, the scientific community don't advertise when something goes wrong. There's a reason. I would suggest to you, sorry, myself, basically, I said to myself, okay, if I evolved, yeah, whatever it was that led me to this position, whether it's natural selection or whatever it may be, okay? Am I at a position now to consider higher matters?
Yes, because you're conscious.
I do. But now the question is this. If evolution has led me to this position to be able to think of higher matters, what would the reason be?
Because that's part of our evolution. Because
Excellent.
we're continually evolving.
Excellent. If our evolution, through whether it was natural selection or any other method, if it has brought me to the position where I can now confidently think about a creator, is that part of evolution?
Yes, it is, because people will try and explain the world to themselves in many different ways, because we're conscious beings. So we're always wanting to know why. We're curious social animals.
But that can't be true, can it? You see, there's a problem. The method of evolution is mechanistic, isn't it?
No, some of it happens through chance.
It's still mechanistic because it has to follow a physical order.
Well, it can be quite chaotic, actually.
No problem, but it's still mechanical at the end.
I don't really know what you mean by that.
Basically, what I mean is that, look, we had...
through mutation.
It happens through a physical process, doesn't it?
But new discoveries are also saying that it also happens through... It's not just mutation, you know, it can happen very quickly in a lifetime.
Absolutely,
as well,
That's a mechanical aspect. If you look at the fruit flies, that was the example they used because they reproduce very, very quickly. Okay, but that's not the issue. The issue is this: how do we explain, from the evolutionary perspective, the very notion of consciousness?